everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of the Like-Minded Creators Podcast. My name is Chris, and joining me, as always, are my tag team partners creeping in my camera right now. Greg Telfayan, Zach Ali, and today we have a wonderful show for you. He is a phenomenally talented artist. You literally said, like, as you got here, you're like the Beastie Boys meets...
they say Beastie Boys mixed with Deftones, Beastie Boys mixed with Glassjaw. Some Limp Bizkit, some New York, New Jersey hardcore. And,
it's that nostalgia,
and some,
man.
The Beatles.
We know him as Justin, but all of you know him as Dizasterpiece. Justin, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just get this off the bat. You are a touring artist. You have toured around the country. What got you inspired to start this creative journey of yours?
Ever since I was a little kid, this is what I wanted to do. Music was so accessible back in the day, like where alternative music and stuff that was more authentic was accessible to little kids who didn't know anything. Especially there was no YouTube at the time, so I would turn on MTV. It was honestly MTV before I became a metal kid or a hardcore kid. I would turn on. I saw Korn. I saw Limp Bizkit. Blink-182 is like the first anything I saw as a little kid that had like tattoos and ear gauges, and I was like, it made me think like, I like this style, I like this sound. Listening to Blink led to Green Day, which led to like older kids telling me that's not real punk. This is real punk. You got to check this out. Listening to real punk led me to hardcore, and then once I found hardcore, my life got ruined. But it was a lot of like, I had left a lot of the gateway bands that I found as a little kid and became, part of the music scene to me that wound up being cooler, and it kind of came full circle as I grew up, and I realized I didn't know like I'd have to like get a van and print merch and like grind till I'm dead inside.
All the work that comes
it sucks, but I love it because the outcome is good. It's worth it. It's worth it.
And when did you start being like? When did you start actually working towards, like, how old were you when you first started like really with the grind?
Dude, my first band I ever started, I was 10. I was 10 years old. Nice. I was in 4th grade. Kids in my class, like, because at the time, new metal, I was like when new metal first got big, and I was just like, oh, you have some kids like, yo, I got a bass for Christmas. I'm like,
can I play it?
Ask your mom for bass lessons or something, and are you free after school? And I was congregating kids, and that's when we got into skateboarding. And starting, people grew up and like joined sports teams. I always did sports, but like I wanted music first.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept starting these bands, middle school into high school, freshman. I remember I was into punk. I didn't know what hardcore was. And these kids from the town over in West Orange, they were like, yo, we want to do a band. I wanted it to be like Thursday and Census Fail. I was into Screamo at the time, Alexis on Fire. And I liked metal, but I was moving away from new metal and I was going to Warped Tour and stuff. Yeah. And one day I come back one summer and they're like, oh, we don't want to play emo anymore. We want to play hardcore. I'm like, what's hardcore? And they all had older brothers. So,
what bands?
They put me on immediately to like Terror. Yeah. Terror, American Nightmare.
Yeah. Evergreen Terrace.
Evergreen Terrace. I had this shirt in high school. We played with them recently. So nice. I tried to make that remind myself where I started because I went and bought their shirt at Hot Topic and then we were playing with them.
I actually played with Terror.
Comeback Kid and Bane.
It's Comeback
Kid and Bane.
I know
and
Jordan. I know the guitar player.
Yeah, dude.
Really well. He's really cool.
There is a hardcore scene. I want to kind of get a little more granular because we're going into inspiration and when you're a kid and like going into this. But like to kind of make it more interesting is like getting your first, experience with a band that you would actually look up to.
Yes.
Right? And then like... Right? That feeling of doing that, like you're like, oh, I'm playing with these bands. Like these are bands that were on my wall. Like
that is your dreams being manifested.
Yeah.
That's 40 Below Summer is right there. It's like I say this all the time. Their poster was on my wall. It's like they became my friend. Then Max wanted to record us, and then it's like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite singers. And like I was telling my band before ever meeting him, like this is the kind of singer we need. And then manifesting that and actually him being in my band. Yeah. But like that moment when you start realizing like this is actually happening, but you're not making money as much. You're a touring artist, and this kind of goes into where I'm going to stop and like let you take over. Like that's when it becomes the real deal. And I've been on stints of tours, not like long tours like you're doing, grinding it out like that, but more because I have a job and you have to pay bills, and you didn't get that shot where it was like, okay, I can live on this much money and be okay and build this whole thing up the way I really want to.
Mm-hmm.
Taking that leap from going into playing with bands and realizing that is your, this is what I fucking want to do. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is validating everything. And then going, okay, now I got to take it to other states and like, I really want to do this, print your own merch and all that shit.
Yeah.
So now that you're doing that, the experience, like when did you take that actual leap?
That's
when
such
did
a good
that
question.
shift?
I want to answer it like in segments without talking too much all over the place.
No, I'll interrupt you.
So I
and ask you more
wasn't.
questions.
Please, he does not talking as it is.
I didn't learn what business was till I got older. A lot of people that I've hired to play for me that are still like kid musicians, and at least in the mind and heart, which is nice and it's essential too, don't understand a lot of the cutthroatness that I had to become from mentors and situations that burnt me on the way up, because it's a dirty industry.
Absolutely.
And business in itself, people to get ahead a lot of the times lack morals and ethics. So there was me as the passionate, hey, you want to start a band in the hallway. Then there was like, before like any like the neck tattoos and like touring the world and crazy shit and girls and anything. It was more innocent. It was like, one day my dreams will come true. But as I went and worked jobs, Guitar Center, pizza places, delivery, like I skipped college and I thought about it, but I didn't really know what I wanted to study. I did like a semester for sociology.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped out. It sucks that for someone who wants to have a real job with benefits and like 6 figures, 5 figures, whatever, it like there's no in between. I work sometimes as a bouncer at a metal club. And now I'm on a tour every 2 months. The bitch that it was to get it where music is my full-time job.
Yeah.
And I had to fight for that. And then imagine like if you date someone in the past, they support you, you meet the parents, they don't understand.
Yeah.
That's like, far-fetched. They think and you have to be the elephant in the room, be like, no, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Now it's happening and people see it and it's crickets.
Yeah.
It sucks. You had a lot of people, they laugh, they doubt you, they think you're a joke, and then they get jealous, then it works out, and you see they see people they know wearing your merch and they're like, I've known that kid since blah blah blah.
Now they're there to like by your side.
Yeah.
Like
I've missed out on life trying
bandwagon.
to make this happen. I've missed out on everybody I know becoming like real people, like doctors or getting married. And
Take it there.
They buy houses and shit. I will buy a house one day off my music. But I don't want anything else. As a little kid, even the dude in the hallway trying to start a band that sounds like Comeback Kid or Limp Bizkit or Sum 41, whatever I was into at the time. There was nothing that made me more fulfilled. So the beauty now that I've learned to appreciate, I'm so exhausted when I go on tour. You can see the after effects. I love it. I'd be on tour every day forever if I could. But the beauty, the Dizasterpiece, the contrast to it, is that even though it's the most tired and spent I ever am when I'm doing it, my spirit, my soul, my mind is the most fulfilled because I was born into this world, I guess, craving that. You said earlier before we started, you know what you're going to do before birth.
Yeah.
That's a philosophy.
10 generations deep
It might
before
just be
you're
what I'm
born.
supposed to do, and there's nothing else that I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do it till the end because I love being on
It
stage.
seems like,
I love the effect that,
Well, no. It was interesting. You even mentioned earlier, you were talking about skateboarding, but just waves of things that happen in culture. Like you were from an older generation where you had posters of 40 Below, but he was talking about skateboarding.
Yeah.
And how that brought like people together in a certain way.
Why?
Because I think skateboarding had a big thing to do with me getting into music also.
Yeah.
Me too.
And it was
Tony
kind of just
Hawk, man,
X
like,
Games. Yeah, he
fucking,
did the 900.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And they
It
had
changed
really
everything.
good music. The skateboarding
All
brought the
the
Warped
skateboarding.
Tours.
The GOAT soundtrack is
Like
the
you're
Tony
saying,
Hawk.
and then
Yeah.
the Thursdays and all those bands that broke in. But like I remember even getting more granular from skateboarding and being like, I can't fucking fuck my wrists up, and I'm getting introduced to all this music, but I just want to play the music instead of skateboard, and I'm gonna go, like I said, like Ollie, 10 steps and that's it, I'm done. And I fucking just transitioned completely to drums and like was all about the band, and I remember that. But now I'm like 40 years old and I've done almost up to the point where I could go on tour with these bands and do the same thing, but it's not financially feasible for me at this moment. Honestly, I have not been able to have the chance to hustle in that moment. And again, we can kind of break this up. Like if you're local and you're trying to book your own tours, and you want to either be a buy-on band versus booking your own tours and really connecting and networking with bands, that's what you have to do to get to the level where Justin's at, which he'll tap into now, which is really interesting because we take it to doing your own DIY, DIY, do it yourself, and contacting clubs and trying to do this. And we've had this experience. You've had this experience.
Bro, DIY sucks my nuts. Can I say that?
But let's get to where you actually are.
I'm the only guy that's going to tell you this. Sign with a label, compromise, wait for the right label, make sure the older dudes, they'll play the game.
Hold that though.
But make sure they're good mentors before you...
Label. You either, this is what we talked about.
Or get an investor if you want to stay DIY.
You want to take, here's the thing, labels. I'm telling you, like, the one thing that I think you, from the outside of seeing your situation,
I'm doing the opposite.
You don't need a label if you have a booking agent that's getting you really good shows, and that's one of the most important things.
It's not the only thing.
No, it's not the only thing. Check it out.
The opposite.
It's the thing that, all right, so when you sign on a label, you're like, I'm going to start playing these amazing shows. Okay. If they can get you those shows, great.
Yeah.
That's fine. But they're also taking so much, and they're trying to
let them.
Yeah, let them. If so, it's gonna fucking fuck you in the ass because
I gotta take a loan to push this record.
You go to a bank and you get a HELOC or on your whatever. If you have a house,
a loan has to be taken. See, if you have a good job, you could fund it. But then you can't. It's like so black.
But a loan,
there's no like.
A loan the interest is ridiculous. The interest is going to be ridiculous with a label. I'm just saying the situation you're in right now. You know, I know ideally a label, but you want to have leverage. I'm going to bring up Russ the Rapper. Russ the Rapper. Hold on. Russ the Rapper. Excuse me. Russ the Rapper is the guy that put all his shit on SoundCloud. He blew up. And now he's playing stadiums, right? And this guy's fucking doing it all on his own, and he owns everything. Now the label comes to him and goes, yo, I'll give you $300 million.
Okay, so that's the model product. That's the model of what it should be.
But you have the chance now to build that leverage because you have the tours that are getting you that momentum that you need to get. But that's true. This is not just an acknowledgement. But it's kind of like, yo, I always thought that was the way to go, and you are in that situation. God bless, and you're killing it with that. And I think labels will come to you because you'll build up that momentum that you need to.
So we've been approached already, but let me think. It's all games,
right?
It's all just and it's not bullshit. Completely bull. Like I see them standing next to like their superiors. This kid's sick, right? I told you, right? But there's no money. They don't have money anymore. I'm not putting anybody on blast. I've had them come tell me there's investors that drop. Even major labels still need investors. Okay, music has been devalued. Okay, you can't buy a CD.
For
fine,
sure.
You got to get with the times. Fine.
Right.
These labels,
they used to make money off of
they can't pick you up, and you have to be marketed. So it's like, they're only going to pick up somebody that has good numbers too, but there's not a lot of people. You can't take chances anymore. It sucks.
So that I want to touch base on that real quick. You literally just hit the nail on the head there. You saw the sound. I don't know if you saw it, but the Sound City documentary that Dave Grohl did years ago.
I did, but I love Dave Grohl.
Trent Reznor had a really amazing take because you see him using a bunch of plugins that you and I can afford, or even you guys who are just starting out.
Good.
$100, like you get a really good amp sim. And Trent said something that really resonates with me as both an engineer, and I think Zach, you would probably agree with this. Just because there's a lot of great technology and a lot of good tools coming out doesn't mean a lot of good shit's been coming out.
Oh, absolutely.
So you hit the nail on the head that music's not only devalued, but I want to dare say that the talent has also been devalued.
It lost its oomph. It lost its.
There's not a lot of good talent anywhere.
People just aren't skateboarding anymore.
Because now socially, not trying has become the thing. Like people call shit extra. I want to address this on camera. Extra. You're doing too much. Be animated. Be authentic. Do something where people say, "Oh, I know that. That's John Davis from Korn." I know that.
Signature.
Have a signature thing. And I'm not saying like that I'm the best or anything, but like in the 90s, you were able, or the 80s, or early 2000s, you could make music that wasn't bullshit, and it was on the radio and made millions of dollars. People talk shit on "Smells Like Teen Spirit." That is the best loophole that happened in 1991. Look at everybody that's got signed by a good label after Smells Like Teen Spirit. After Green Day, there was The Offspring.
You're talking about trendsetters.
There's Nirvana, trendsetters, but what's cool and what's like, you're only going to get signed by what's in and what's generating numbers or at this point, algorithms or picked up.
Yeah.
And you need a viral TikTok video, this or that. But at the same time, aside from music, what's in style, and I can just tell us my personal opinion, but there's a truth to it if you want to just listen, is that I'm telling the camera to just listen because people might not like this because it ruins like what they go by. But
the people that will like it will like it, and the people that don't have to watch it.
Hip hop was a resistance when it started. It wasn't bought out. It wasn't pimped out. It was for rejects.
Yeah.
Hip hop culture, which I'm a guest in, African American culture being made mainstream. That was the first of its kind, and it was special. And anything rock and roll, all kinds of subcultures, punk rock, they were over here in the Bronx or over here in California. And it's nice that they get discovered by someone in Hollywood. They get invested in it, blows up. And they could be proud they did something that people said, this ain't never gonna make it, this is noise. But right now, the in is just, I'm gonna go and copy the person over there. Yo,
Right.
And
then butt fucking.
that is
famous.
and then butt fucking to it. No comment, take that out.
No,
that is a spiritually low vibration. Here we go. That is a low vibration to
power bottom.
To copy and copy and copy and then like, yo, I'm famous to it. You can act like an influencer and a rock star and a YouTuber in public and people can know you are, but do something that stands out, that is authentic. So when, like earlier, this kid that's in 9th grade, I have like 8th, 9th graders now coming to my show, he's singing every word to his own bout at the front. And he's like, don't ever give up. He messaged me, he's like, yo, happy anniversary to you and your girl. You deserve your world. You're changing lives. Like, he's like, all right, I had a bad day at school, whatever, this girl, whatever. And I put your shit on and it goes, it takes me somewhere else. It goes away. That's how I felt when I listened to, when I was on the bus in middle school. And I'm like, I hate the direction. People just become hardened, soulless cunts at the end of 7th, 8th grade into teenagehood. And it's important to have an artist that touches your spirit, whatever your taste is, and to not make it about me. If this was a time,
what was a record
coming out
that did that for you? I know I can have a bunch myself.
Deftones' White Pony did that.
Sure,
but that was later. I came back to it. I liked them when they were around. I never understood as a little kid. Appreciated the beauty of Deftones, and when they became my favorite band. Senses Fail. Let It Enfold You. It came out. I remember that summer, and I was like barely hitting puberty. I think I like did stuff with a girl for the first time. I was finding myself. I still had like punk bracelets, and it was corny, and people made fun of me, but I had a lot of friends, and I was finding that I got into hardcore. I started dressing like a jock again and abandoned the trip pants.
Right.
And these albums, whether it was, even though it's an emo record, Senses Fail, Let It Unfold You, Biggie, I was very, very into Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die.
Yeah, because you're really good at rapping too.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're excellent. Really lyricist.
Didn't matter what was going on at home or what went on, and like the girl you liked, now you're in high school and she doesn't let you hang out with the seniors, and you have to figure it out on your own as a freshman. These are not really bad things, boo-hoo, but
everybody's relatable though. Yeah,
the teenagers need something that's not numb and soulless, and there's this gap because they'll say okay boomer to someone, and then the older people will say Gen Z is stupid.
Right.
Where is everything where is the bridge? You need angst.
Yeah.
You need style, you need angst.
Yeah, you need some attitude.
But I don't know. I try to remember what got me intrigued. Yeah. When I was a kid, like I turned on the TV, I was like, whoa, what's this? What kind of record or band hit you where you were like, yo, this is what I want to be part of?
Yeah, I would definitely say Smells Like Teen Spirit. I mean, Nevermind, that album, that changed everything for me.
Actually, that was the first for me. I stole my father's Nevermind Nirvana tape.
Wow, your dad listened to Nirvana?
Yeah, it was just so accessible.
My brother. Alice in Chains, Dirt.
See, now we're dating ourselves. He's saying my dad's tape.
Tapes are cool.
I was a baby. I was like it made me realize that I wanted to play drums. and I started fucking around on his kit. And then I
Your
realized
dad plays drums too?
Yeah, he still plays in like a Led Zeppelin kind
That's
of cover band.
awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
It's cool. So I had music in
That's
my blood.
fucking great.
But then I realized I couldn't write a song from percussion. So I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do guitar. Maybe.
That's a
And I was
debatable
like, can I
thing,
take guitar lessons? But in high school, everybody was like, oh, we need a singer. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, you should be a singer. And I started to take that as a compliment. They're like, you have good energy, you can move around. So all of a sudden, I was a lyricist. I would write guitar parts, I would write drum parts, but I always liked holding the microphone and doing it. But it took like that evolution as a little kid, finding stuff, certain transactions that led to knowing
Right.
that that's what I liked or what I do.
What about for you?
I was, it's crazy. I didn't really even listen to music, but I loved the sound of electric guitar since I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was getting into skateboarding and going to these skate parks after Tony Hawk landed the 900.
Yeah.
It was Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out,
Yeah.
and me and a whole group of friends that used to play Pokemon quit Pokemon together
And then shifted
and
to
got into skateboarding.
Yeah.
And then we started going to the skate parks,
Those
and then they had
micro clicks
demos,
get
right?
bigger.
So
It was like
at
macro.
the skate, I still remember it was Lost Profits.
Nice, dude. Dude.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
fucked what
That
happened
song.
with that guy.
So I
That guy's a
know,
fucking
I know,
piece of
but-
shit.
Yeah.
That's a great
Everybody
song.
knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And who
So-
came out? Apex Theory came out right after them at the same time.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but-
No,
Keep going,
exactly.
yeah.
So I mean, that was like the
That-
transition of like actually like getting into the whole culture for the first time. Like,
Yeah, the
But
culture
then
grabs
I
you.
moved. My parents moved. We used to live in Edison. We went to Closter.
Right. Big
And
difference.
very big difference. Very completely different
Is it
culture.
Edison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the Mongoloids are from. Edison used to have the Mongoloids. No, the band, they're a straight edge hardcore band.
Oh, it's called. They're called the Mongoloids.
Mongoloids.
I thought you guys sounded
No, I
like.
used to be pet. There's a church in Edison.
I was getting ready to hit the edit button.
No. There was a church in Edison, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I was petrified at this church. Edison has its own, or it had its own gigantic hardcore scene where everybody in the town liked hardcore. I saw people take belts off and smack people in the face.
Oh, it was rough out there.
Oh, damn.
Edison was rough, so I saw it back. It was probably from Bergen County
Oh,
to
yeah.
Edison was
Going from Edison to Bergen County
Oh,
was like
Bergen
laughable.
County's
culture.
It was
totally
you know, like everybody.
nothing going on.
It's
it was-
amazing, Zach, that you mentioned Tony Hawk Pro Skater. 'Cause I discovered ska because of Goldfinger Super.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
heard
that's a good
that
song.
as I
Great
was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I was like, oh, I love the sound of horns and trumpets in the music. What the
Yeah.
hell is this? And
Yeah.
then from that, I listened to early No Doubt. Then I got Real Big Fish and all that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question,
Yeah.
like the genesis for me
Yeah.
was Dookie. When that
Yeah.
came out,
For sure.
Yeah.
I was in third grade. Sorry,
There you go.
guys, if I'm dating you, but
Yeah.
It's parallel.
Dookie came out when I was in third grade,
Yeah.
and I didn't know of it because
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough. But as I got into fourth and fifth grade, I was listening to nothing but video game soundtracks and
Yeah.
movie scores.
So that's how you
I
were
was listening
introduced to music.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't like your traditional.
Right.
Hey, this art.
Right.
Right.
But when everyone was still singing Basket Case, and I listened to that, and I'm like, and I was just blown away. So from Green Day, I discovered Rancid, I discovered The Offspring, I discovered the
Right.
Ramones, and then when I discovered the Ramones,
now you're
I
going back,
discovered
yeah.
Metallica, heavy metal, Black Sabbath, and I became a heavy metal fan because of it. But it all started with Dookie. Dookie was the
Right.
album that
Gateway album, gateway band,
Yeah.
and so accessible. It was so accessible. It's there's no badass soundtracks in a new game. Like we don't want it to always be looked at as throwback. Like if we made a record, we just made a record that's very, very 2001, 2002. There's nostalgia, but we still made it fresh, made it new.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
So getting to that,
So
like
much to talk about. Sorry, go.
from your
Yeah.
standpoint, like when I write music or I'm like going to write something,
Yeah.
I never came to it to be like, I always thought like, oh, I love this band, I would love to sound like the Deftones, but I didn't want to write something like the Deftones. If
Yeah.
it came out and it
Yeah.
sounded like the Deftones, I'd be like, oh, this sounds like.
Yeah.
But I remember jamming with guys that were like, oh, I want to make this Rage Against the Machine song right now. I'm like, how about no? And then when I started jamming by myself and like writing my own stuff, the songs they would write would be like, okay, this is like a Rage Against the Machine song that's like watered down and not as good as Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
So why don't you just write a song and whatever it is, it will be.
Yeah.
And that like made writing so much easier for me. And what I would write came out like the bands I love to listen to, but I didn't try to do it. And you weren't like, yo. And when I listen to your stuff, what I'm getting to, I'm like, that's Head PE right there. That's Daryl from Glassjaw. No, it's just the nostalgia of that, and there's elements of that inspiration.
It's not
I hate when you go, what band do you sound like? It's like, I don't know, what band do you think I sound like?
So we get a lot of like, wow, you sound like, they say The Used. My singing voice is like The Used. Darren Palumbo, sometimes Chino, sometimes Buddy from Science of Fell, Adam from Taking Back Sunday. Yeah. Massive compliments, those are my idols. But every now and then there will be a schmuck that pops up like, your cheaper version of Deftones, this and that. No, you can't write a song that sounds close to that. First of all, it's just to say that we sound like a cheaper version of Deftones means that we did pretty good, because it's hard to even do that.
Right.
But second of all, we want to pay homage to our predecessors.
Yeah.
We want to pay homage to the people that inspired me as a kid, but never copy. Never copy per se. Or if we do something that comes close, maybe it's borderline, we talk about them in interviews to say, hey, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for so-and-so and so-and-so.
And you're not trying to directly copy them. Yeah. It's just coming out, adding your music like that.
You're bringing the envelope to Uncle June and sliding it across the table.
But without even trying to do that, though.
Shout out Sopranos, best show.
Yeah, seriously. I rewatched it for the third time. It's fucking awesome. But,
What?
You have a lot of elements. I hear like Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. I hear.
Yeah. So I mean, so this is where everything changed, because like, I was going to these skate parks, heard Lost Prophets and stuff, and then when we moved from Edison to Closter, I started hanging out with Chris. Chris had a drum kit at his house.
Yeah.
And he played like a couple beats, and I was just like, this is unbelievable. This is so cool. And then he was like, get a guitar. And let's start a band. So I got a guitar. And that was it. Once I started playing guitar, it was like that took over skateboarding. I was taking guitar lessons, and my teacher showed me Crazy Train, showed me Iron Man, and that got me into the metal stuff. You know, like the influences. I wanted to learn from the people who created the sound of electric guitar.
Let's take it forward though. Your influencer. What made you write?
What?
Like you wrote, like when you started writing, you weren't trying to write like somebody, or were you just writing and it was what it was? Like,
no, I was just writing and it was what it was.
Right.
So there was a middle school band, and then there was a lineup change in this middle school band. Then there was another lineup change in the middle school band, and then it broke up. And I was so discouraged being in 7th, 8th grade, going into 9th grade, and just not being able to rely on people. And
sounds pretty familiar.
Writing, just like
another thing.
Writing music.
Some things never change.
I took the step of getting a drum machine, and I actually started programming out. I did like records worth of material on this drum machine.
It's awesome.
From when I was like 14 years old.
So staying creative, it's like
yeah. Like it was just like an outlet, and I was just practicing that for
just
years.
Keep going.
But that led to being in bands, and I ended up playing drums, and everybody needed a drummer. And then
I wish I found you guys. I wish I had you. I think you're a phenomenal guitarist, and I wish it was you in the hallway. It's like, yo, Zach, you want
always in the hallway now.
But it's interesting. We met now recently. Our band.
And we have mutual friends. Within those, it's
years.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We played a show with him. With this, this is interesting, just because we talk about the scene and what bands are doing. There's a band called That New Metal Band, and we got to give them some props. They got us on a show with them, so they do covers.
Phenomenal cover.
They're really good. They play good covers. Yeah, they do. They're
Shout
great.
out Lord Stabley.
Yeah, Lord Stabley. Happy birthday, buddy! It's his birthday. We're gonna get him. We're gonna have him on the show because the kid is. He's really smart. So he got like bands that are in the new metal type of thing, and that was us and Dizasterpiece, Of the Light and Dizasterpiece, and so we got on a show, and I'm like, this guy reminds me. I was watching just their Instagram videos, and I'm like, this guy reminds me of like Daryl Palumbo. Gosh, this is really cool. And then he's rapping. I'm like, this is going to be an awesome show.
Thank you.
And then I met you, and then you like our band, and we started talking about frequency and vibration.
We hit it off immediately, and then we liked all the same bands.
And then we ended up collaborating. So we have a video coming out.
So yeah, he's that kid. He's stoked. Is it Brian? Is his real name?
Yeah.
And he's stoked because it's his fault we met. He linked that up and we did it. But I remember, so we got on the show to play QXDs in Newark, and I'm like, okay, Of Light, okay, cool. And I'm like, these guys, I've seen them on an Instagram ad. I saw your video already, thought it was sick, knew that I wanted to talk to you, and you came over, you're like, I love your stuff, blah, blah, blah. We talked about like Glassjaw and Senses Fail immediately at the merge table. Show was good. We had, we became friends, started kicking it, smoking, and we made 2 phenomenal songs. We have our actual collab, and then Zachy is on the last song of the record we have. It's the heaviest song on
it's fucking brutal.
It's called "And Cinderella Will Detonate the Whole Metaverse," and he just but it's heavy as fuck. Lots of violent parts, lots of parts for violence. It's like,
but good violence, brotherly violence. Lift each other up. We're not trying to pull out people's fucking piercings here.
The record isn't that heavy. It's not that heavy. So we lead the song with him. It's like the heaviest at the end, and he just sets it off.
It's funny. It's like the same thing you were saying. Like nothing was forced. You know, like I was sitting in the room with Justin, and Justin was like, "I like the sound of that," or like, "Give me this kind of sound," and like it would just happen. You know,
That's
like
awesome.
we weren't trying to copy anything. It was just a natural. Just gotta let it flow. Yeah,
That's what. So now we're shifting, but we're talking about everything. It's a melting pot of everything. When you're a musician, or you're like trying to push your stuff out there, and then you're connecting with other bands. And you should be collaborating with other artists, because that's like where it's at right now. That's like one of the things to do. He's going to share the video. I'm going to share it. He's going to share it. That's 3 different people. And that's significant. It actually has a compound effect. You know, with this podcast, this will have an effect on all our projects, because everything we do, because that's what we're doing. And we're just going to be documenting it and talking about how we're doing it versus what Justin's doing, like the real deal touring and like that aspect of things versus doing it online. And, you know, the internet is the one place you can actually have a real big dent and have the opportunity to get in front of an audience before you even get to play in front of them, and use that with the playing shows and touring and culminating both of those things together, the organic and the digital. That's the way it needs to be. So that's what you're watching when you watch the show. This is like you're growing with us. You're watching us evolve. So it's like,
you know what I love?
It's all these different perspectives.
That the craving, the desire to play music and become someone through it, the desire to become someone and to do my thing has led me to meet some of my favorite people. Okay, it's still a struggle here. I have to hustle, but my career is going better than it ever has. I have the most connected people that I've had pushing me, and at the same time, I have these new friends that are equally as talented and equally come up. There's like, I ask for more friends that are on the same come up, that have the same mindset. For every increment of success, there's falling outs. People get jealous. It sucks. So I'm in a real transition period as my career goes up, and all these new people came through that have phenomenal music, and they understand what I'm doing, and they take me seriously. And I'm just like, yo, this is a very interesting time in life right now, and it only exists because of I followed my dreams. Yep. And I met people parallel to it. So it's good.
You're meeting people.
Definitely.
You're just
meeting more.
Yeah, you're going to keep meeting. I mean, that's the whole beautiful thing about this. It's ever evolving, and it's like you're watching the story unfold right in front of you.
And in this day and age, like when I'm at Dingbats doing sound, and I see bands come in that kill it on stage, and I remember like if there's like a guitar player on stage that just like obliterates everyone else, I'm like, this guy's clearly the star of the band. Yeah, we've all seen bands like that. We're like, all right, don't want to be mean, but this guy's clearly the talent of the band. A month later, another band comes in. I've never heard of them, but that guitar player is now in this band, and it's a whole group of musicians
that are just now, ideally the same.
They're all equally killing it on stage. Yeah. And then a couple months now go by. Now they're opening a national tour. They're opening. They're they're the opening act and now direct support. I'm like, it's amazing that in this day and age with the internet, social media, and how you guys are all collaborating. Yeah. And then me, just like from the outside looking in as a sound guy at a venue, just seeing the progress of musicians these days, like it's incredible the opportunities that the internet has given us today to collaborate.
It's a double-edged sword. I think the internet. It was nice when the internet was more in the middle.
But you're smart though with the advertising
but
too.
You're right, still, Chris. Yeah.
Like meaning like you take like we haven't really dove into marketing as much, but like I think. It's one of the things that isn't being taught to younger kids. Like even at the schools I teach at, it's one of those things that it's a real important thing. If you don't put your stuff out there, you don't keep putting yourself out there, and you're not documenting that process in a way that's going to engage with people, it's going to be really hard to get to where you're going. It shortens that amount of time it takes to get from point A to point B. And if you're touring like you are, and you're putting out shit all the time, it's just going to have, again, a compound effect. And that's what has to happen. And that's what's going to separate you.
Know about it. Yeah. And music is way hard. Everything is gate kept or not what's in anymore. And you really have to, like, if you see somebody that you should collaborate with or be friends with or just keep in touch with, I jump on that. also dumping tons and tons of money into Instagram, everything I got into ads, Facebook ads, and then I'm on tour every 2 months. I got a booking agent, trying to get outside the country next year too, and pick up an international agent. But we have no manager. I had a manager. I beat the shit out of him in Utah. I like the guy. He called up the record label that was going to sign me.
And he ruined it for you.
He sabotaged it. I really was close with this guy. I hope he's doing well. He had a bad alcoholism problem, and he completely cashed in on the fact that I was an artist that was younger than him, that would give anything to make it. And he said, that I was the most talented person he ever met.
Probably are, though.
I believe that. Thank you. But you get played around with, and a lot of these people that are higher up could have the keys for you to get in are sociopaths because they want to manage someone. They want to want to control.
Yeah, it's a power
someone,
thing
and
too.
they see in my eyes how already given my whole soul for this. I'm not going to go the other way with the bad side, give my soul to the bad end to get it, because that has its own bad outcomes. It's up and down.
Right.
But the in between. So I was advised not to play that show at QXTs.
Who advised you?
My agent.
At the time?
My current agent.
Who? Michelle?
Michelle. My agent is my girlfriend. We date, so I was trying to be funny about that, but you guys knew that.
Yeah.
I was trying to, but
why not?
We're built. So Michelle, because we were past that show, didn't have a guarantee.
Oh, right.
It was nice. It was nice that somebody was advocating for this. So, and I think that a venue she deals with might have had beef with them or something. And I said, okay, I'll take you out to dinner with the merch earnings that I make. So let me do it, and that will be the last show I do. That's outside of, because I was on Continental's roster and I was supposed to follow the rules, which is a great stepping stone. So I wanted to listen to her. I said, okay, there might be, lately there's been these side missions. This is what I'm getting to. There's a video game level that you don't have to do. But if you do it, you'll still go forward in the game. But you'll have some items. Yeah. I'm not a big gamer, but I know enough to make this analogy.
Yeah.
You'll have some
Amazing
items.
metaphor.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that level. You could skip over that one. And a lot of them are mandatory. And it's a bitch. And you're like, I don't want to do this one again. But there's some things you're like, I need it for when I fight so-and-so on the next level.
So that's the benefit
I said
of it.
something in QXTs. You're going to love this. There's a hidden gem of some sort.
That'll make it worth it.
That will make it worth it. And I met you guys. And then I got 2 fire fucking songs on my record from that, which only existed. Yeah. If I didn't do that show, those 2 songs wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be sitting here with the homies, with my new friends. So there's what I'm trying to tie together is, because there's the moments that are brutal, running ads, running out of funding, touring, being exhausted, touring. Everybody's tired. I have to drive the van, but I didn't drive. Sleep for 2 days. Partying to stay up and shit. The in-between moments, there's secret stuff you want to pack up and put in your bag in the middle of the levels. And those are people that you meet and connections where you could feel like, I was meant to meet this guy.
I think that sums up.
I think the biggest takeaway that we can take from this is, don't be afraid to stay up, grind, do whatever you need to do.
Push yourself.
And also, Michelle's the worst booking agent in history. So, not for suggesting that show. I kid. She's my boss at Dingbat. So,
Michelle is a boss. At this point, I only date boss bitches.
Yeah, but she came up. She worked her way up. She worked her ass off, man. She fucked our bands for years.
I had pictures with people in the industry that she knew, because I was just stepping in, but she took me seriously. Sometimes it was always, when you get somebody's attention, they don't have so-and-so's manager doesn't have time to listen to your mixtape or this or that. And it was always a bitch to get somebody, even my idols, people that worked at labels, just listen to it and they say, oh, this is pretty good. And it would sort of go somewhere and it wouldn't. And at that time I was finally just stepping in. And it caught her eye because there was mutual clout to be put on the table. And she saw that one way or another I was doing things and she wanted to help me. So we unified and made this power couple situation. And I think dating a boss bitch in the industry who has my back was the best decision I could have made for now. So,
well, she's great.
She'll kill us if we say.
No, I mean, no, it's true though. She's been she's earned her stripes, and she's earning them. I have a text from her saying that all my dates are now canceled. So now we're good.
My career. Our anniversary was yesterday, 2 days ago. Her birthday was yesterday. I asked her out a day before her birthday. My career has significantly elevated since we met. And whether I do believe it was going to go, I know we're talking about love now, but business, watch this. I believe that I was going somewhere. I believe in myself. I have my moments where I lose confidence because I'm beat up from it. I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
So I have moments, my head's down. I have moments where people try to humble me because they think I'm too arrogant. It's because I'm fighting for something. A lot of people don't know what it is to hold on to the ball and run and just go and go, and they don't have anything. They look at you like, what the fuck? Don't you know that you are blah, blah, blah? So I wasn't ready to date nobody. And there's something about the universe had, like mutual people, connections, just the conversations me and her had that led, I'm like, maybe this is the first time I'm dating someone and they're in the same industry. Their parents aren't going to say, you're in music, because her whole shit is music. And I'm like, yo, this will be the first time I built with somebody. It was professional and it was dating. And since I met her, we get paid better at every show. If I have an issue on the road, I call my agent, and because my agent's my girlfriend, she makes sure that, someone's throat gets slit if we get screwed over, And it's beautiful, So I've never talked about her in an interview before.
So I would say let's wrap this up with, I think, for me, is being re-inspired to kind of follow through with what I thought was the right way to go about in the first place. And if anything else comes in from that, that's great. My situation is my situation. Your situation's your situation. You're going to have these situations. Make the best of each situation with the resources around you. Connect with people that are like-minded, but go out and try to find them, because the only way you're going to grow is if you get out of your comfort zone. And that's how
comfort zone will get you.
The comfort out of the comfort zone is the comfort zone you need to be in.
The comfort zone
you
is
need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable
being uncomfortable.
With being uncomfortable. And check this. When life gives you lemons, learn how to take lemons, build them into castles. Not lemon juice, not like lemonade.
Yeah.
Not life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Well, you could use them to drink while you build your castle.
Everybody's situation is different, so don't compare and contrast. Learn how to take your wounds and your L's. Every L you take, be like, well, no, that's just not the outcome. That's not the reality that's happening here.
Yeah.
I refuse to accept this reality, and it's not going to be delusional. I'm just going to go out of my way now, because I'm aggravated, to manifest the most best possible opposite outcome where my dreams come true and everybody's happy around me, because you're fighting against the odds.
Yeah. Zach?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, you got to just keep moving, and you run into these crazy trials and tribulations. People that do unimaginable things. I mean, like, unbelievable. Like, things that you couldn't even expect or comprehend someone to be capable of.
You would never picture that person doing that to you.
Right.
But they did.
It's just not in when you visualize the happy ending, it was the opposite of what that person did.
But again, it's like you said, like, regardless of what hits you take, you gotta just, like, it put me in a position where it was like, just completely restructured the way I was approaching.
It made you focus on what mattered most.
In a different way,
But what mattered most, which was you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
which was
absolutely.
you. Which is me.
Made me
Chris,
learn how to navigate.
Chris is in the same situation. I mean, he may not be in the band or play an instrument, but he's in the same situation.
So, I mean, I guess on a personal note, I mean, I just recently lost a corporate job, and it was something that, despite my best efforts, was out of my control. But I remember now, years before I even got this corporate job, I've been grinding as a freelancer, as a photographer, sound guy, whatever, for 5 years now. And now that I want to say I sold out and took the money for the salary.
You wanted to see what it would be.
I wanted to see what it would be.
Why not?
And it was miserable. I was miserable the entire time. The salary was good, but I felt like I was selling myself out for a
You seem a lot more happier now.
And,
to be honest with you.
I am. Honestly, I am. And, the biggest life lesson that I learned is, don't be afraid to reassure yourself that you know exactly what you are, what your worth is, and what you bring to the table.
That's great.
And don't fucking listen to anybody that tells you otherwise.
Yeah.
Like that's
They don't know.
Yeah.
It's not. You shouldn't comment on what somebody else is doing when somebody else is going against the odds, doing something that not everybody can do.
And people
You know?
will say that because they're not doing it, and that's pretty much the reason why they
But
do
why
that.
not join us? Why not get inspired and then go do what you want to do? Anyway,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's it. That's what it really comes down to.
instead of battling against somebody who's believing in themselves and going against the odds, you know, be inspired by it.
That-
Don't pull down, make a bitch tweet and pull it.
You're
down.
gonna have those
Yeah.
haters, but
Yeah.
any bad media is good media. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. It's still fucking attention to you, and that's you're doing your thing, and you're fucking the demons are there and everybody's there, but you're doing it, and that's what really comes down to. Just fucking keep going and connect with people that are actually on the same page, and the ones who aren't, fuck them. Just keep going.
Justin, thanks for joining us tonight, and let us know where we can follow you on your socials.
Yeah, man. So it's just at Dizasterpiece. It's with a Z. Type it. If you don't type it right, you'll get a Slipknot song accidentally. Dizasterpiece. And I'm pretty sure it's at Dizasterpiece on Instagram and like Facebook.com/Dizasterpiece. I don't really be using Twitter that much or TikTok. I eventually will. But you know, Instagram and Facebook where it's at, and come to a show. Come to a show. We have the best merch at the shows, not on
Sure.
our store right now. You know, and come,
Yeah.
come, you know, check it
Support
out.
music.
Yeah, thank you. And that's about it. I think we're wrapping it up right now. That's it. We'll see you next time.